Time now for some PFT on Yahoo Sports. Peter King, Mike Florio here with some of the biggest stories in the NFL. And over the course of the past week, the COVID-19 situation has become the biggest story in the NFL. So much has happened, Peter, in 1 week. And one of the big things that occurred, the Patriots had a positive result for, of all people, their franchise quarterback Cam Newton, taking 2 planes to and from Kansas City, one with 20 or so who had close contact with Cam Newton, and the other plane with everyone else, acknowledging that they're not out of the woods yet. The incubation period continues to be the donut hole that the NFL will never escape. And whether it's the Patriots or anyone else, this cascading effect that we saw last week for the Titans could still happen with New England Patriots, and it continues to hover over whether or not the NFL is going to get all 256 games in this season.
Yeah, Mike, on Sunday I had a prominent epidemiologist tell me that, to be safe, you should not engage in anything like a football game for 4 or 5 days after, the positive person basically has come out. So I talked to the NFL, talked to Alan Sills about that, the chief medical officer, and his point was basically, well, the person who was infected was not infected on Friday. He first showed positivity on Friday. But in the NFL's opinion, and Mike also in the NFLPA's opinion, because they do this together, that what has to happen is that you test positive on Friday, but it was Tuesday or Wednesday where you were exposed to it. So if all the people on your team have been exposed to you for a couple of days, then what happens is that is the incubation period. I think they were relatively safe in playing this game on Monday night, but you're absolutely right. There still could be a positive test or two left over because the incubation period is at best shows up 4 to 5 days afterwards. And that is the donut hole in all this. You said it. No matter how many tests the NFL gives its players, look at what happened with the Tennessee Titans. Positive tests for 6 days after the first positive showed up. That is what the NFL is going to battle all season.
And Peter, the NFL's approach is to assume that there will be people who test positive who get into the building, but to do everything they can to limit the chance of it spreading once they're in. I think the better approach would be put everyone in a hotel. The Patriots have that hotel right next to the stadium. They're making it available to players. There aren't many players who are staying there. Put everybody in the hotel. Then you minimize the chance of anyone becoming positive, because I just think it's inevitable. If a guy gets in who's positive, someone else, some way, somehow is going to get it. We saw it in Tennessee. We're going to see it somewhere else. And until they put all teams in hotels, that reality is going to hover over the entire season and threaten to leave us with fewer than 256 games.
I think you're right, Mike, but I also think that if you tell 2,460 people, the NFL players, plus another 750 coaches and essential staff, hey, by the way, for the next 3 months, you can't see your family. I do understand the alternative, and the alternative is you may lose game checks. You may not get paid. I get it. But I think now that only one team has become the Miami Marlins, which is the Titans, my feeling is that there's very little juice right now to send teams to a hotel.
Well, it worked for the NBA in one location. It worked for the NHL in 2 locations. It would work for the NFL, I believe, if they do it. I feel like they're going to wait for the house to be further on fire than it currently is. But as of last Tuesday morning, it wasn't on fire at all. When you think about what's happened over the course of the last week, it shows you how quickly the virus can take over. That's the challenge for the NFL. He's Peter King. I'm Mike Florio. We'll see you for more PFT on Yahoo videos later in the season.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.